My neighbor poisoned my garden, so I dated her husband. Before you judge me, let me explain what actually happened. I had spent 3 years building my garden from nothing. Heirloom tomatoes my grandmother brought from Italy. Roses my late mother had planted at her own house that I transplanted after she passed. Herbs I used for the small catering business I ran from home. That garden was everything to me. My neighbor Bridget hated it from day one. She complained about bees. She complained about the smell of my compost. She complained that my sunflowers were too tall and blocked her view of absolutely nothing. One morning I walked outside and found everything dead. Every single plant. Brown and wilted overnight like someone had poured acid on them. I called a landscaper friend who took soil samples. Industrial strength herbicide. Someone had deliberately poisoned my entire garden in the middle of the night. I knew it was Bridget. I just couldn't prove it. I installed cameras that same week. 3 days later, I caught her husband Terrence on video at 2 in the morning. He was walking along our shared fence line looking around nervously, but he wasn't pouring anything. He was collecting samples from my destroyed plants in little plastic bags. The next morning, I walked over and knocked on their door. Terrence answered looking like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red and his hands were shaking. "I know you were in my yard last night," I said calmly. "I have you on camera." His face crumpled. "Please, you don't understand. She made me help her. She's been threatening me for years. I was trying to collect evidence so I could finally leave." That's when everything changed. Over coffee at a diner across town, Terrence told me everything. Bridget had been financially and emotionally abusing him for their entire 12-year marriage. She controlled all the money. She monitored his phone. She had threatened to destroy him in divorce court with fabricated evidence of abuse if he ever tried to leave. Poisoning my garden was just her latest act of control. She had done similar things to 3 previous neighbors who had crossed her in minor ways. One family moved after she reported fake code violations until they couldn't afford the fines. Another couple left after she spread rumors that destroyed the husband's dental practice. "I took samples because I wanted proof of what she did," Terrence whispered. "I've been documenting everything for 2 years. I just needed enough evidence to protect myself when I finally filed for divorce." I looked at this broken man sitting across from me and made a decision. We're going to help each other. For the next 3 months, I dated Terrence. That's what the neighbors saw anyway. What they didn't see was the careful documentation we were building together. I helped him open a secret bank account and slowly move money. I connected him with a lawyer who specialized in domestic abuse cases. I stored boxes of evidence at my house where Bridget couldn't find them. We were seen together at restaurants and parks, holding hands and laughing. Bridget was furious. She started spreading rumors that I was a homewrecker. She told everyone at the HOA meetings that I had seduced her husband. She had no idea we were building a case that would destroy her. The day Terrence filed for divorce, we submitted everything. The poisoning evidence with lab results, recordings of her threatening him, documentation of financial abuse, testimony from the previous neighbors she had terrorized. Bridget tried to fight back with her usual tactics, but the judge saw through everything. She was ordered to pay restitution for my garden and 2 years of alimony to Terrence. The divorce was finalized in 4 months. Terrence moved to Seattle to be closer to his sister and start over. We still text sometimes. He's doing well, going to therapy, learning to trust people again. He sent me a photo last month of a small herb garden he planted on his apartment balcony. The caption said, "Thank you for teaching me that good people still exist." I replanted my garden this spring with help from the neighbors who had finally learned the truth about Bridget. She moved away after the HOA voted to fine her for the same petty violations she had weaponized against others for years. Nobody was sad to see her go. So yes, I dated my neighbor's husband, and it was the kindest thing I've ever done for another human being.